where is the $1 that's going to cause me to forget about my creator? That's where the problem starts. So to some people, having a six-figure income is all they can handle. Some of them only 50,000 a year is all they can handle. But it's not so much about how much we're able to acquire. It's about what we do with it. There are some people that could be trusted with a $10 million portfolio and a $10 million, business. They can do a lot more than the person who's struggling paycheck to paycheck and would love to give to the needy and would love to have an impact, but they just can't. It's impossible for them to do that. So there's two schools of thought. Well, oh, Jesus was poor, so I'm going to be poor, and there's this kind of a negative view of having wealth. Well, think of King Solomon. Think about what he had. He had cattle, he had land, he had, the gold and silver. He was able to do a lot more than maybe, the average American, right? So it isn't inherently, there's nothing wrong with it. The scripture that usually is misinterpreted is the love of money is the root of all evil. Okay, people used to say that money is evil. That's the way that, but here's what I found. This is what we talk about. I think that the lack of money is really the sum root of all kinds of evil. And the reason for that is just to understand that, why do you think there are crimes in the world? Why do you think people step all over other people, the ones that are maybe more marginalized? Why do you think corporations take advantage of, their client base, right? Google, large banks, and the things that they've done to their client base, and see what the results have been. You can tell by the amount of fines they've been able to. Well, of course, it's all calculated, because they know that if they make $100 billion and they get a slap in the hand with a $100 million fine, it's totally fine. Where do you think that comes from? It's from greed. Well, where does greed come from? From the concept of not having enough. So when we
Yeah, if I could add to that, I'd say it's not the lack of money, it's the perceived lack of money. Because again, just like everything else we've said, lack is relative.
Absolutely, yeah,
So,
it is. So think about this, uh, David. You and I went to a conference, a couple of months ago, and we were in a session where we heard somebody that was explaining a concept or something that was going on in a country in Central America, and that person was actually like enumerating how much they live on. And I want to say, my memory probably, because I this doesn't make any sense to me. I think it was like 240 US dollars a month is what they were living on. And you can't, I mean, here in the United States, you can't even imagine what that would look like. So, but some of those folks, their demeanor is very different. I bet you their anxiety levels are actually very, very low. Their contentment is very, very high. And their sense of purpose and their sense of gratitude is actually very, very, very high. So, how can it be that in a country like that Central American country, they have so little and appreciate so much, and we have so much and appreciate so little, right? So those two things are competing principles, but the balance is, like the scripture was saying, don't give me too little that I may curse your name, but don't give me too much that I will forget your name. Somewhere in the middle of that, that's where all the formation comes in, and the transformation of the individual, and the individual's heart of what they actually want to do for God's kingdom. I think that that's the freedom that God has given us in that construct. It's not necessarily, we're going to put all these people into this box and everybody's going to, just like a robot, do what we tell them to do. No, God is really trusting us to be able to listen to His word and follow, the teachings that we have in the Bible. And so it's really beautiful to come to a place when you really understand that you're trusting God in everything, not just in just health issues where most Christians are very, very like easy going about praying for health, but they're not as easy going about praying for finances, which is doesn't make sense to me too much, but I understand where the challenge is, right?